Hey bruh, today we're going over an anime where there's an emu boy who gets no bitches and is terrible at life. But lucky for him, there's somebody who's willing to show him the ropes at life and for him to become good at it. So we start off the show, right? We see the main character and another dude who happens to be someone who get all the hoes and is popular in school. And they're playing, I forgot the name of the game, so I'm just gonna call it Knockoff Super Smash Bros. And we can hear the inner monologue of the main character talking about, yeah, he may be good at life, he may get all the hoes, he may be good at sports, he may be good looking, but I'm the better gamer. And not only is he the better gamer, he's the best at that game in all of Japan. After he beats him, right, we see bro talking about some, man, I had a weak ass character, cuz that's the only reason you beat me. And then after that, he started making a whole bunch of new excuses after that. Like, bro, we all know gamers like this, right? A nigga sucks at a game, so he blames everybody and they mama except himself. I mean, look at Flight. This nigga Flight say fuck Mike Wang and Ronnie every 2 seconds. But then he says the game sucks. And that stuns the main character, and the main character is like, don't blame the game. It should be the blame on the player. They then make a bet where he's like, okay, if I win, you have to call this game God tier. Well, he beats him, and then we see the dude leaving, right? And as he was leaving, we see some girls approach him, right? They're like, oh, what were you doing? Were you making out with somebody? Were you getting some punani in the school bathroom? Well, he says it's not really important, and then they ask him to go get coffee, so they all get coffee. And then as he's going home, we hear the main character's thoughts on the world. He says the world is unfair. He says that there's levels that you can't control in life. Therefore, there's not really a point in trying in it. And then he calls all the people, right, like the popular girls, the dude he just played, he calls them normies and noobs, and they could never understand them and how they have no real skill. So then we see him at home playing the game, but this time he's playing someone named No Name. And then we see a rankings list that shows all the people that's ranked, and No Name is ranked number 2. And while they're fighting, he's recognizing that No Name is actually getting better, and he's struggling a little bit, and it'll be a close game. And it was a close game. He won the game with 1 health bar left, right? So after this, he receives a message from No Name. Now on PlayStation, this would be a nigga insulting somebody mama, but this was actually No Name asking to meet up. The next day at school, we see him thinking about how nobody's bringing up how he eat that dude in the game. And then he's laying at his desk, right? He hears a conversation going on, and then a girl walks up. Well, this girl is somebody he recognizes, and he acknowledges how she's so good at life. Says she's good at sports, is at the top with grade, and she's really popular. Basically, every girl that's ever been in a high school anime. We see him walking in the halls, and then he gets acknowledged by a girl, right? So then the girl walks up, she's like, oh, how are you doing? How's your day going, right? And then she asks, oh, I heard you and him played a game. And then asked who won, and he said he won. And then the dude's like, yeah, I mean, he won, but it don't really matter. That game weak as hell anyway. You know, every nigga ever that loses, I guarantee you if this nigga won, he'd be braggadocious, boy. We then fast forward to the weekend, right? And he's getting ready to meet with No Name. And he's thinking that No Name is a guy until that they describe that they're wearing a skirt. So he's like, oh, it's a girl. And then he sees a girl across the street that perfectly describes the outfit that No Name sent. So then he walks up, he's like, hey, are you No Name? And then when she sees who the rival is, she's absolutely disappointed. She claims to be mad as hell because her rival was an absolute dweeb in real life, and she thought that he would be a lot more incredible. And she's mad that the person that she respected most isn't nobody in real life. He then is like, that's pretty rude for somebody you don't know. And then she apologizes, right? But then right after the apology, she flames this nigga again. She's like, you put in no effort. I mean, look at them weak ass shoes, that weak ass outfit, that weak ass haircut. And then after that, she apologizes again. Nigga, you was not sorry. And then after that, she tries to walk away, right? So while she's walking away, the main character's like, hey, stop. You'll never understand what it's like to be me, a loser in life. There's no point in trying if you're a fucking loser. People are born with advantages over others. You don't know what it's like to walk a day in my shoes. And then he says that the game of life is unfair. And then she's like, well, you can't say that the game of life is unfair because you've never actually tried to play it. And then he sounds like every pick-me nigga ever. He's like, oh, well, I'm ugly and I'm at a disadvantage to you. So then she's like, you know what? Come with me. So then she brings him to her house and then pops up with no makeup, right? And to the point where he didn't even recognize her. So then she's like, see how I look different but I still look good? He's like, well, I'm a nigga, I can't wear makeup. And he's basically saying he can't improve his looks. So then she's like, well, looks is all about 2 things, posture and expression. And then explains how he could better those things and fix those things. And then she talks about how she got through life with just simply will. And says that she admired him because she thought that he was the same way. But she was disappointed when she met up with him and turns out that he was a loser in real life. She then says that she wants to help guide him through the game of life so he can get better at it. And at first he said he wasn't that encouraged, but considering how much he respects No Name and that she's No Name, that he's gonna try and give it a shot. And then he tries to ask her where life ranks, right? So he's like, she's probably not like me. People like me think that life isn't better than this knockoff Super Smash Bros. But she probably thinks it is. And then she says life, right? So he's like, that's what I thought. But then she later on goes, they're on the same caliber with that game. He's like, she thinks the same way about video games as I do. And that really inspired him apparently. So he's like, you know what, I'll go through with it. And then she says that the first thing people do is what they're gonna do when they get on video games and customize character. And they're gonna discuss so over pasta. So she gives him a mask at the restaurant and says, you're gonna practice smiling 24/7, which is why you have the mask. And she's also gonna task him with daily tasks so they can get better every day before and after school so they can review it and assign it. And then they're walking home and she's like, well, what do people do after they meet in real life from a video game? They exchange friends codes. We cut to the next day at school, right? And they're meeting in this, I think it's like an abandoned classroom or something, I don't know. And she says that her goal is to get him to her level and he thinks that's impossible. But she says it is possible, they just have to do it step by step and with small things. The first thing that she tasks him with is to have somebody ask if he get bitches, so they're gonna make him look like he get bitches basically to try and, make him seem cooler. And then after that, he has to get an actual girlfriend, and then in that process, he has to be talking to 3 girls at the same time. God damn, bro, you want this nigga to go from being holeless to having all the hoes? And the episode ends with basically him thinking the same thing that I just did. Now, this show is actually pretty cool, bro. It seems interesting. It's not as weird as some of the other shows I watched, thank God. It's pretty cool, though.